Hello, welcome to Angular Complete Series Part 15 Styles and CSS Class Binding, represented by tutorial polls. Applying styles to elements is a core need of any web application. Let's see what flexibility we get in applying a dynamic style based on some conditions in Angular. Angular provides two ways of changing the style of elements dynamically. Both of these ways can be used together or separately on the same element to better fulfill product requirements. These two directives are attribute directive and named as ngStyle and ngClass. ngStyle modifies the style attribute and ngClass modifies the class attribute. The first way of specifying either class or style is an interpolation. The second is use a directive with a dot separator. The third way is to use directive directly. Let's see each one of these possibilities in action. Let's first quickly do a cleanup of code what we have written until the last lecture. Remove everything from userdetail.component.html except default p tag. Remove everything from userdetailComponent.ts except default generated code from CLI. Let's delete the user bio component for now. Fix issues in app module TS, remove math service as well, and fix any error in code module.ts. Alright, now let's get back to userdetailComponent.html. Let's give a font color to this default paragraph tag. Add style attribute and inside write color as red. Save the changes and run the application. So npm start. Let the application launch. As you can see, color has changed to red. This is the usual way of applying inline CSS. Now let's apply the style in Angular way. Let's use interpolation inside the attribute. So first declare a property that will hold a color value. In userdetail.component.ts, type public myColor and give it a type of string and then the value as red and semicolon. Let's quickly write a method which we will use to toggle color. Type public toggle color and complete brackets. Now inside add if condition and say if this dot color equals red, then set it as blue, else set it as red. Copy the function name. Now open the userdetailComponent.html and add a button. Add click event, pass the toggle color function which we copied and give the button text as toggle color. Alright, in paragraph replace the value of the color property with defined color value property using interpolation, which is myColor. Save the changes and see the browser. As you can see, color is still red. Click on the toggle and see the text color is changed, so it is toggling. This is how interpolation is used to apply inline CSS, but this is not a recommended way. Avoid using interpolation in the style attributes directly. Angular provides a better approach to achieve this implementation. The better approach is to use a style attribute with the property name. So inside square bracket type style dot and property name whose value you want to set. In our case, it will be a color. Then pass the property name which holds the value. So it is myColor. Save the change, see the browser, click on the toggle button again and see it is working as it is. Using a style dot with CSS property name also allows you to specify the unit. Say for example, you want to apply font size. It could be either percentage or pixel or any other supported unit type. We can use this style attribute like style.fontSize, then pass in the value along with the unit. For now, let's pass 40px within single quotes. Why single quotes? Because it's a value. Save the changes and see the font size changed. If we skip the unit, then what will happen? Let's remove px, save the changes and see the browser. No font size applied because Angular is not able to recognize what 40 means here. To fix it, either we can add px back or we can add px here inside this attribute. So add dot then px and save the changes, see the browser. It works again. You can use this symbol percentage for percentage. Let's change the pixel to percentage and save and see on browser. Font size has changed again, but it's now in percentage. If we inspect the element and see here in style attribute, it has font size as 40%. On the similar lines, you can use other properties, for example width, min width, etc. You can pass in a variable name as well, which either holds a number or number with a unit. Let's declare a variable first. Let's type public font size value of type string equals to 40px and then pass this string to font size style without unit. Save the changes and see the browser. It is working as expected. Now remove the px from here and add px after font size. Save the changes and see the browser. It's working without any difference. Remember, you can add multiple properties on the same element. Each CSS property will be resolved and will be added in style attribute separately. In the scenarios where you want to add multiple styles, you can use another player known as ngStyle. To ngStyle, you can pass a property which is of type object and holds multiple CSS property values. Let's define another variable in user_detail_component.ts as public space myStyle of type object equals object with properties as color value red and font size value as 40 pixel. And then in user_detail_component.html pass in the property name using ngStyle. Remove this extra style code for now and add ngStyle inside square brackets. Save the changes and see the browser. It is working as expected. Let's inspect the element and see under the style attribute here we can see CSS as what is supplied to ngStyle. Remember, Angular always resolves the dynamic styles and merges them with the existing style attribute. So if you have a defined color property in style as the default color and then we pass in a color by a directive, default will be overridden. Let's add color as value here in the style attribute and save the change and see the browser. The color is coming as red. The reason our dynamic style has overridden default inline style color and has added font size. ngStyle can be a better fit to apply conditional styles simultaneously. Let's define a variable here as public is blue of type boolean equals to true. Then in toggle color method, remove everything and say this dot is blue equals not this dot is blue. Now in userdetail.component.html under ngStyle, create an object and say the color in single quote colon is blue question mark then blue in single quoted else red in single quoted. We are saying if is blue is true then set the color value as blue else red using the ternary operator. The button click will toggle is blue flag. Save the change and observe the browser. Click on the button and see the color is changing as expected. You can add multiple comma separated CSS properties under ngStyle. Alright, now we know what are the possibilities we have for inline CSS. Let's also see what possibilities we get to apply a CSS class dynamically. Let's remove inline CSS and remove the defined variable and change the isBlue flag name to isTitle. Now in userdetail.component.css, let's define two classes. Type dot user hyphen title open close brackets and specify the color as red and font size as 60 pixel. And then another class with dot user hyphen subtitle open close bracket and specify the color as blue and font size as 40 pixel. Now go to the userdetail.component.html open close square brackets and type inside ngClass. So ngClass directive is what we use to supply dynamic classes. Now in user.detail_component.ts, let's define a property as public myClass of type string equals user title in single quotes. Now pass in this property to ngClass here. Save the changes and see the browser. Our CSS class is applied and you can use this ngClass with a class attribute. Add all your default classes in the class attribute and then use ngClass for dynamic class. ngClass will append or remove the class from the class attribute based on condition. Similar to ngStyle, if a default class is added in class attribute and also in ngClass, ngClass will take precedence. It will be removed from the class attribute if the condition is evaluated as false. Now let's see how we can use a condition to toggle the class. Inside ngClass, similar to ngStyle, we can use ternary operator. So type isTitle, then single quote, class name as user title, else, that means colon, user subtitle. Here, if isTitle is true, user title class will be applied, else user subtitle class will be applied. Save the changes and observe the browser. Click on the button and see the class is toggling. Open the inspector and click on the button. See, class is changing based on the flag. Alright, you can also use ngClass to add multiple conditional classes in one go. For example, here, similar to ngStyle, let's open close curly brackets and under single quote say user title colon is title comma, then again under single quote pass the class name user hyphen sub hyphen title colon and say not is title. So if the isTitle is true, apply the class user-title. If isTitle is false, apply the class user subtitle. Save the changes and observe the browser. Click on toggle button and see the class is toggling as expected. Also, similar to style, you can use a class with a dot operator. Let's remove this and then type here in square brackets class dot user title and as a value pass the flag isTitle. If the flag is true, add this class. Save the changes and observe the browser. Click on the button and see our class is toggling. We can use this dot operator mechanism multiple times similar to ngStyle. Let's again open close square brackets and inside class dot user hyphen subtitle and value as not isTitle. So again, if isTitle is false, apply the subtitle class, else if isTitle is true, apply the user title class. Save the changes and see the browser. Click on the button and see when isTitle is true, user title class gets applied, and when the false, user subtitle class gets applied. Pretty easy, right? Remember, you can use class and style attributes along with ngStyle and ngClass all together. Awesome! Now we know the flexibility of applying inline CSS and classes dynamically, and also we know the possibilities of applying dynamic inline CSS or class. So that was it for this lecture. Thank you and see you next video.